Hello all, and welcome to positron emission tomography. What is PET, you ask? Well, PET is a medical physics way of scanning the human body, the human brain. It's great for a lot of different medical purposes. And what it does is it measures photons being released in the body from a chemical that doctors put into you before you go through the scan. So this is called gate collaboration. Gate collaboration is a free online software that a lot of medical physicists use to determine different ways of creating a PET scan so that it can be more beneficial to the patient and the doctor figuring out exactly what you may have. And you see those lasers coming out of that body compared to this body. Well, those little lasers or those light beams that you saw were actually the positrons being emitted from the body. So the positrons being emitted from the body is what we just learned about in radiation for physics, is when you have, two electrons colliding and then a positron is emitted. Or it's when an electron gets really close to a nucleus and a proton, and they have a chemical reaction and a positron is emitted, which is a positive electron, just so you all know. So open gate collaboration allows medical physics students to simulate different PET scans. So what it does is it allows us to be creative and figuring out different sort of crystal glass mechanisms that can absorb a photon to see where in the body a human may have some sort of disease. It is a free software used around the world. And for example, UC Davis use it. So this is a chemical compound with fluorine 18. That is something that is what which is one of the chemicals that a doctor would inject into you before a PET scan. And this will interact with your electrons and your photons and your glucose in your bloodstream to figure out where it's attracted. And usually where it's attracted is where you have some sort of malfunction, such as Parkinson's. Parkinson's is Parkinson's is one of the many things that PET scans are used to determine whether or not you have Parkinson's. So there's a normal brain above, where you see above the red bar, which is a normal brain, and then below you see pre-Parkinson's and post-Parkinson's. So pre-Parkinson's is kind of like the early stages of Parkinson's, and then post is kind of where it is very, very much alive in your brain. It also can measure Alzheimer's disease. You see to the left a normal brain that has limited cognitive impairment or none at all, and that's kind of like you and I, where hopefully we kind of have a spongy brain that retains everything. And then you see on the far right that huge gaping black hole in the middle of this person's brain. Well, unfortunately, that is a huge indicator that you have Alzheimer's disease. And Alzheimer's disease is where you kind of slowly start to lose your memory and forget your own name eventually. So overall, a PET scan, a positron emission tomography, can help determine Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, many different sort of cancers, different brain tumors. I mean, there's just so many different things in the body that PET scans can definitely help in every way. And all that needs to happen is you need to be injected with some sort of glucose compound chemical to determine your positron emission and where it's coming from. And that's kind of what PET scans measure, is from those emissions. From when the positron emits, it'll measure exactly where it came from in the body. So, thank you very much for being with me today.